Hey, what's up? I'm Darkbblue, trying to help everyone enjoy games in depth. In today's PAINLESS guide, we'll be focusing on a very important topic. Now that you have finished the entire campaign, how could you manage to get through the early in-game content until you can efficiently grind gears to implement your desired builds? Starting with the general principle, you need to use target farmable gears as much as possible and global drops as little as possible. Why so? For players with already fully implemented characters, they can accumulate lots of global drops by farming the Shadow Realm. So for them, builds with more global drops are easier to implement, but monster infrequents are hard to grind. However, you don't have any means to efficiently grind for such global drops. Therefore, target farmable gears are a more appealing choice. Based on this general principle, I divide the early in-game progression into 3 steps. Step 1. Use monster infrequents and faction gears to implement an initial build. Step 2. Use the Shadow Realm set to augment this build. And Step 3. Use craftable legendaries to further improve this build. After all the 3 steps, although your build is still not fully implemented, it at least allows you to efficiently farm Shadow Realm 26 to 27, which means fully implementing your build is now made more feasible. So let's dive in the details of the first step, where we mainly use monster infrequents and faction gears. I have introduced the definition and importance of monster infrequents in a previous video. If you have been following my guide series, you should be already familiar with using monster infrequents to modify your skills. As for faction gears, they are green and blue items sold by faction merchants. With the 2 types of gears involved in this stat clarified, the first thing to do now is to find monster infrequents that can modify the skills you majoring. For example, for my ritualist, bone size is the most important monster infrequent. You can grind a bit to obtain such monster infrequents where both 2 affixes are useful. However, there's no need to pursue a monster infrequent with 2 green affixes, which would be too expensive. A green affix and a yellow affix is enough. Then it's time to look for good faction gears. You can search for keyword faction on Grim2's item database to filter out non-faction gears. With the filtering done, you can further use Ctrl F to search for faction gears that give bonus skill level to your main skill. For example, a shoulder plate and an amulet can give bonus skill level to Bone Harvest, which would be my choice. Then search for faction gears that give damage bonus to the damage type you're majoring. For me, I'm looking for gears with vitality damage bonus. Notably, gloves and boots are a bit special. Faction gears in these 2 slots have rather general purpose bonus, so you can directly go through all faction gears in the 2 slots to make up your mind. For example, I'm using a glove that bonuses cast speed for my Bone Harvest and a boot with stun resist. Now, most gear slots should be filled. If there's still some left empty, you can use some monster infrequents without skill modifier. For example, now my pants is empty, so I'm using an monster infrequent pants that have inherent lifesteal bonus. After inserting gears into all the slots, don't forget the components and augments to cap your resist. This is my personal build status for reference. With the preparation done, you are now ready for the next step. Into step 2, your primary goal is to obtain the Shadow Realm set. How to get it? You'll need to finish Shadow Realm Shard 26 and 27 on Ultimate in a row. However, you are allowed to die and exceed the time limit. As long as you finish the boss level of Shard 27, the Shadow Realm Merchant will sell you all the Shattered Realm set pieces. At the first part, you are advised to do Shadow Realm first on normal until you finish Star 26. This will allow you to craft Celestial Wisdom. Craft one and bring it into Ultimate, then you will have instant access to Star 26 on Ultimate, so there's no need to do the entire Shadow Realms round on Ultimate. Now you need to finish Shadow Realm 26 and 27 on Ultimate. This could be tough, especially because bosses will restore some health after you die. As a solution, you can get a medal called Brawler's Distinction. With it equipped, the restored health will become much lower. With this medal, I believe you can eventually finish Shadow Realm 26 and 27. Then buy yourself a full Shadow Realm set and adjust your components and augments correspondingly. This is my build for reference. Next, into step 3, we'll be focusing on crafting legendaries. Compared to random drops, crafting is more controllable, making it suitable for early endgame progression. Craftable legendaries can be divided into 3 types. Individual legendaries, the blueprints of which can be directly bought from faction stores. Individual legendaries that the blueprints of which are randomly dropped. And set legendaries, the blueprints of which are randomly dropped. So how could you craft them efficiently? The easiest to craft among the 3 is the first type. Though quite rare, you can buy some blueprints directly from faction merchants. Such gears will be attached with a faction mark on Grim Tools, helping you distinguish them from other gears. The easy access to blueprints makes such gears highly valuable, so if there's a suitable gear of this type for your build, don't sleep on it. For the other 2 types, you need to first obtain blueprints, which are randomly dropped. You can choose from farming Totem or farming Shadow Realm. Totem is what we call this map mechanic you are seeing in the current play. With the first 2 steps done, you should be able to farm totems efficiently. You can Google keyword totem to find efficient farming routes other players are using. Though personally I prefer Shadow Realm. Although it's still hard for you to do 30 and 31, 26 and 27 should be fine. These 2 shards will give you a lot of blueprint outcome. Once you have the blueprint, you can craft the legendaries you need. If it's a set legendary, commonly you only have the blueprint for the headpiece. However, you can use a function called transmutation at inventors to transform the headpiece into other pieces of the same set. Therefore, by crafting multiple instances of the headpiece, you can eventually get the entire set. Of course, to craft a legendary, you also need materials. For most materials, you can simply Google the name of the material you need, and you will find a lot of farming routes for them. But Celestial Lotus doesn't have a good route online as far as I know. So here's my personal route. In East Marsh, you can find 1 Celestial Totem at one of the 3 locations. They will spawn some Celestial bosses which have a relatively high chance to drop the Lotus. All in all, following the method above, you will be able to craft yourself a full set of dedicated legendary set to replace your Shadow Realm set, along with some helpful individual legendaries. Also, don't forget to update your components and augments. And this is my build for reference. After this stage, you should be able to easily farm Shadow Realm 26 and 27, which gives you efficient access to all the gears in this game. So next, we'll be talking about how to implement the final build. 2 videos about efficient grinding and build theory crafting are in plan. If you want to play games into depth together with me, don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching, see you around.